So this is pages 3 and 4 of the Chapter 5 quiz review for Algebra 2. Starting at the top of page 3 with number 17. So the directions were to simplify, but I can see that I have GCFs and that I need to factor. So in the numerator, I see a GCF of 3r, which leaves me with r minus 4. And in the denominator, there's no GCF, but it does look like one of the easy ones. So the square root of r squared is r, and r, the two numbers that multiply to get 4 and add or subtract to get negative 5 are r minus 4 and r minus 1. So clearly my factors that cancel are those two, and I'm left with 3r over r minus 1. Number 18. These both look like easy, so I'm going to factor the numerator to x and x, because this should be a minus and a minus. So what is that? 3 and 9. And the denominator, what multiplies to get 18 and adds or subtracts to get negative 11. X minus 2 and x minus 9, so these cancel. So we're left with x minus 3 and x minus 2. Number 19, I see a GCF in that numerator, so I'm going to factor out a 2. That leaves me with x squared plus 15x plus 50. Denominator, I can go ahead and factor already. So what multiplies to get negative 50 but adds or subtracts to get negative 5? That'd be what, 10 and 5, so it should be x plus 10 and x minus 5. And then this trinomial factors to x plus 10 and x plus 5. So the x plus 10s cancel, and we're left with the 2, don't forget the 2, and the x plus 5 in the numerator, and the x minus 5 in the denominator. Number 20. Is there a GCF? I see a GCF of, what, 2? So factor out a 2, that leaves me with 3x, oh, and an x. So factor out a 2x, not just a 2. So 3x squared plus 8x plus 4. And in the denominator, I see a 2x, which leaves me with 5x plus 4. So the 2x's are going to cancel. Nice. And then for this numerator up here, I'm going to need to do slip and slide. So I'm going to need to divide by 3, which will give me x squared plus 8x, multiply by, so plus 12. And then that factors to x plus 6 and x plus 2. If I divide each of those by 3, this reduces to 2. This one cannot reduce, so I need to slide that back over. So this factors to 3x plus 2, which is not going to cancel, and x plus 2, which is not going to cancel. So in the numerator, we have 3x plus 2 and x plus 2. In the denominator, we have 5x plus 4. None of which are going to cancel. Bummer. All right, 21. I see some reducing. Obviously, the 9n's gone. 2 goes into 8 4 times. Way too easy. Number 22, the 7's cancel. 2 goes into 10 5 times. N to the first cancels, and n to the third becomes n to the second. And there's a 5, so 5n squared. Done. Number 23. I see a GCF right here of 4. That leaves me with n plus 2. So that n plus 2 is going to cancel with this n plus 2. And we're left with 4 in the numerator if we multiply straight across, and n minus 10 in the denominator. All right, 24, I see factoring right here. So x and x, two numbers that multiply to get positive 14 but add or subtract to get negative 9 would be x minus 2 and x minus 7, which is the x minus 2 is the opposite of this. So if I factor out a negative 1, that's going to make that positive x and that negative 2. So I've got the x minus 2's to cancel. And that leaves me with x minus 7 in the numerator and x minus 10 in the denominator. But it also leaves me with that negative, so I'm going to pull a negative out front. All right, 25. All right, so we've got division, which means we need to change it to multiplication and invert this second rational expression. So we're going to have n squared minus 5n minus 36 in the numerator times n minus 9 over n squared minus 5n minus 36. Now we can factor. So in the numerator up here, we've got n and n, two numbers that multiply to get negative 36, but add or subtract to get negative 5 would be n minus, no, one should be plus, one should be minus. So it should be 9 and 4. So minus 9 plus 4. This one factors. Is that the same? Yeah, it's the same. Oh, okay. So n minus 9 and n plus 4. They're going to cancel. And we're just left with n minus 9. All right. Number 26. So we're going to invert and multiply. So leave the first rational expression alone, except where I can pull out a 7 there. So it's r minus 2. And then flip this one. So r minus 2 over 1. So obviously the r minus 2's cancel, and all we're left with is the r minus 1 in the numerator and the 7 in the denominator. All right, flip over to page 4. Page 4, we're seeing scientific notation and standard notation. So number 27, they want us to write it in scientific notation. It looks like it's already in scientific notation because the decimal is between the two numbers, so we're good. So we're just going to say 9.6 times 10 to the, and we're not moving the decimal at all, so to the 0 power. Generally, you don't even have to write that. All right, for 28, you want the number in front of the decimal between 1 and 9, so I'm going to move the decimal right there. I'm going to say 5.0 times 10 to the, and I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, so 10 to the 6th. I'm going to move the decimal point between the 1 and the 9, so I'm going to have 1.9, and I moved it one spot. So it becomes, instead of being negative 6, it's going to be times 10 to the negative 5th. The decimal point right there. I'm going to have 1.29 times 10 to the, I moved it 3 spaces, so 10 to the 3rd. Numbers 31 through 34, they want us to write in standard notation. So the decimal point's right here. We want to move it one spot to the left, so it becomes 0.97. Here they want us to move it 6 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The decimal point right there. I'm going to add a 0 out front. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. All right, number 33, same way. Move it 5 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something like that. So it becomes 0 point. And then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and then the 5, 9. Move this decimal point 6 places to the left, so we end up with 0 point, and then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 7, 9. All right, numbers 35 through 38. They want us to write each answer in scientific notation. So for number 35, we're going to take the 4 and multiply it by 5.4. We get 21.6 times 10 to the, and we need to add the exponents 0 and 4, but we actually want the decimal point right here, so we're going to say 2.16 times 10 to the 5th. Number 36, I'm going to multiply the 3.25 times the 1.93, whoops, 3.25 times 1.93, I get 6.2725. Add our exponents, which is -3, and it's in scientific notation, so we're good. All right, number 37. Multiply the 1.9 times the 2, 3.8. Add those exponents, 4 and -4, so 10 to the 0. It's in scientific notation, so we're good. So 6.2 times 4.5, I got 27.9 times 10 to the -7th, but we need to move the decimal point right there. So it's going to be 2.79 times 10 to the -6th.